Hello everyone, I'm Chase Hawkin, I'm the TGN Reviews Editor,
And I'm JB, the TGN Assistant Content Manager.
and today we are doing another TGN Weekly, and it's going to be a Bioshock Infinite Spoilercast. Now, if you haven't played the game, or at least beaten the game, then obviously don't watch this, because we're going to be talking about everything to do with the ending, and all the implications of the ending. So I definitely recommend you play the game, and please do, because it's an amazing game, and you'll love it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, even if you haven't, even if you don't care about spoilers, you're not going to know what's going on if you watch this and you haven't beaten the game. It's definitely worth getting through like the 10, 15 hours it takes to beat it because it's just such an experience.
yeah. So first off, I just want to ask you, what did you think about Booker actually being Comstock?
Well, I didn't really see it, and like when I got to the part of the game at the end where you kill Comstock, like as Booker was smashing his head against like what was it like bird bath or something, like I thought Comstock looks a lot like Booker, but it wasn't until the end I was like,
And also,
wow,
that moment as
it,
well, just that moment, you
it's
get a
sort of
nosebleed.
boggling. Yeah,
When
it's
when he
sort of
kills him,
boggling,
you get a
but you see
nosebleed.
it. Yeah, it's boggling, but you see it coming at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because my theories that when starting the game before even noticing anything about Comstock, my first theory was, maybe Comstock is, like, as soon as I started finding out tears and, like, the way that she can go through different realities and stuff like that, Elizabeth, I started to, like, think to myself, maybe he's Andrew Ryan from another reality. But then as it went further and further on, and his motives became clearer and clearer, it became a bit more. My theory of him being Andrew Ryan from another reality became more and more. It basically diminished that theory because
Hmm.
he's basically the opposite of Andrew Ryan in every way.
Yeah, like they're both full of themselves. That's probably
Yeah,
the only thing they are. They're both leaders of a city and they're both full of themselves, but that's about where the similarities end. But I mean, in a sense, he is Andrew Ryan, but just an Andrew Ryan of a different reality. He's a symbolic Andrew Ryan, just like there's a lot of symbolicness within this game, and we'll probably touch on it later in this conversation. But
but yeah. So not only that, obviously you find out the book has Comstock, but you also find out that Elizabeth is
daughter,
his daughter, which
and they
is
did
kind of
hint,
cool
yeah,
because
they did
most
hint
people
to
like didn't actually realize that Comstock, like Comstock kept saying that Elizabeth was his daughter, and they kept
which technically I guess he was, or she
technically, I
was,
suppose, but like most
a
people didn't
daughter of another
realize that
reality.
Booker kept saying that she's not your daughter, and
Mm.
I didn't hear any part in the game where she said that she wasn't his daughter or that was put across. So like, but anyway, like I was saying is you never hear anyone say that Elizabeth is nothing to do with
Mm.
Comstock. Like I
I
don't
mean,
know
there
how
are,
Booker knows that.
yeah, well, it's that whole thing about memories that aren't there, like you're remembering a memory you don't have. It's almost like a really freaky version of deja vu. Like that whole because you're remembering memories of yourself from another reality, and that's what they do the nosebleeds for. Like if you go back and watch the footage from early versions of the game, the like E3 and stuff, you see the nosebleed like with Elizabeth when she's using her powers. So you sort of get the sense that the whole nosebleed relating to the tears was an idea that they had at the beginning, but they didn't really implement it in this way until a later version of the game. Like I almost get the sense that he came up with the whole idea from having a head, like Ken Levine came up with the idea from having a headache trying to figure out his own plot points.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the impression that I probably isn't that, but I find it amusing to think that.
See,
But
the whole
they do make hints throughout the whole, well, not the whole game, but there are like quite a few hints early on in the game that towards Elizabeth being Booker's daughter that might go under the radar. There's they're both in Battleship Bay, I believe. The first one is a candy floss merchant, and like if you're just wandering around Battleship Bay, a guy who's selling candy floss will call out to you and go, "Sir, candy floss for your daughter?"
Yeah, actually, that was the first inkling I got that she might be his daughter. That's what
Well,
got
I
it in my
thought nothing
mind.
of it at the time. I thought nothing of it, but going back to it, I thought, oh, that's quite a subtle hint. And when they were going to try to make their way to the First Lady airship,
Yeah.
and they were going through the Dimwit and Duke theme park, I guess. There's like this woman called Esther, I think, who's dressed in like this leather jacket or something and got her hair up in a bun. And she says to Elizabeth, Annabelle, is that you? It's me, Esther. And Elizabeth's like, no, you've got me mistaken. My name's Elizabeth, not Annabelle. So that's like a subtle hint to Elizabeth's
I actually
true
just
identity.
remembered that. That's pretty cool because, like,
Yeah.
obviously, Booker's daughter is Anna DeWitt.
Yeah, because
Um,
I was talking to someone the other day just about Bioshock and our theories because they just finished the game, and they pointed that out to me, and I was like, "How did I miss that?"
that's massive.
Yeah,
That's
but it's
pretty hard.
subtle at the same time.
Yeah, because I totally forgot about that because it was that far back in the game. Yeah, well,
So-
just moving on to the ending again. I just kind of wanted to talk about, like, how did you feel when the Songbird destroyed the siphon and then you were dragged into Rapture? What was your first feeling then?
What, like my first sort of whoa?
Yeah, like soon
reaction.
as you was in Rapture, what did you think?
I was like, Ken Levine, you clever son of a... How are you going to make sense of this? This is just extraordinary.
My
And it
jaw
was-
hit the fucking floor. I
It
can
did
say
look
that.
beautiful. It was. I was like, whoa, like wow. This is. It just like. There's been talks of like a Vita game for Bioshock One. I think screw that. Do an HD re-release. I know you agree.
Yeah.
It would just look so beautiful on in HD, that game. Like,
Yeah, well,
proper
it
HD.
was already in HD, but like
Well,
the
yeah, like
end
1080
generation
1080
HD.
plus rather than 720p.
Yeah, because I actually if I used the footage from my ending for this review, because I still got it, you actually see in the footage that I as soon as I enter Rapture, I walk around and look around everywhere. Like I went upstairs to see the machine where you get your first plasmid,
Yeah.
and like it's just so cool. I wanted to stay there. I didn't want to go anywhere else.
There's only one tiny little gripe I have with, like, I suppose it can sort of be explained by the fact that alternating reality, so maybe it wasn't built in the exactly same way. But if it's the same, like, there's this theory floating around the internet at the moment that at the part where you see Sander Cohen and you're
And Fitzpatrick.
and Fitzpatrick, the guy that plays the piano, you hear the Songbird's death scream. I think that's just a coincidence, and I don't think it Elizabeth pulled you into that same reality that has Jack in it, because if you're in like the room that you're taken to in Bioshock Infinite when you go to Rapture, it doesn't have like the door that's to the right of you
Yeah.
doesn't actually have a pipe leading from it. And you say, go, well, oh, well, the falling plane destroyed it, didn't it? Well, I ask you this. If the falling plane destroyed it, how come there's no entrance into the pipe that you see in front of you?
See, I
So
don't
it's
know
got, like,
about
a
that
path,
though.
It's just got like this whole missing section
See,
of
you could
pathway
say that
that's-
it's plain coincidence, but people have found other clips, like older clips, where it happens, but it doesn't happen at the same point as in that clip that IGN had that I sent you.
Well, the one I saw was on because I saw the one that you sent me, but the one that I saw was also the IGN clip. But Kotaku, they showed like ones where from like multiple playthroughs over the years, they all had the same sound. So it's not something that they've added new. I think it was just always there, and people are looking for an Easter egg where there might not be one.
I don't know. I wonder who found that, because like hearing that at the right point, at the right part of the game, that's like the biggest coincidence.
Well, like the thing is, Rapture is basically a graveyard, and I don't see how that like any splicer would find the time to make a repair on the underwater part. Because like you see that part, like I'm not sure if you're grasping what I'm saying here, but like when Songbird dies, behind it there's a pathway with a big daddy that's dead and a little sister crying, and it's like a T-shaped pathway, so it's going horizontally, and then there's a
Yeah,
vertical
I remember
path
that,
behind it. In the game, it's a cross section. So it's like a cross pathway. So it's got a pathway coming from the door to your right to that pathway. And there's no pathway there.
Yeah.
Like in Bioshock 1, that pathway was destroyed. But if it was destroyed, there would still be a hole.
You
And
see,
there is-
it could boil down to just game design, where they've made the door locked because they needed it to be there, and they didn't want you to go further.
Well,
but
no, I
I
get
don't
why
know.
the door's
Ken
locked
Levine
and
is
everything.
really tight in his intricacies, so I don't.
I get why the door's locked and everything. What I'm saying is, if it's the same reality, there would be a hole in the pathway.
Some people are saying they reckon that Bioshock 1's storyline took place in Booker's reality, not Comstock's. And
Perhaps because the Booker that plays
because in
that
Booker's
played the
reality,
game-
there's no Sky City, but in
Yeah, he never had a daughter.
But that defined,
Although
but
he did.
isn't Bioshock Infinite set before? Uh,
It's weird, isn't it? Like that.
if it's set before, it still could happen, and Andrew Ryan could still be growing up in New York.
Yeah.
So
The thing is, like, basically, I don't think there's a reality where Rapture and Columbia happens. I think it's always going to be one or the other. But that doesn't mean the people don't still exist.
yeah, well, that clearly shows as well because in the ending you see the where you open the doors and there's a load of Rapture lighthouses, and then you open another one and there's a load of Columbias.
Yeah.
So it's always one or the other. There's not
Yeah.
more than that.
Well, one or the other or another. Like maybe there'll be future games with different leaders and cities, but it's all symbolic of each other. There's always a leader. There's always a
Yeah, that's what she says. Constants
rebel.
but variables.
Yeah.
But like, that's what I'm saying is that because Booker crossed the reality to Comstock.
So you're saying that the Booker you see at the end of the game after the trailers roll is the reality that has Rapture in it, or a reality that has Rapture in it, and thus
yeah,
Booker
that's what I think.
any of that.
But you see, that's the thing though, because that's the brilliance of the after credit scene is that
It sort of gives you a
don't-
little closure.
you
Like you can
don't
be
see Elizabeth in the baby cot. You don't see her, so you don't know what reality you're in.
Well, Anna.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like you don't see what reality you're in because if she's there, that means you're in the one where
Did Booker have an AD on his hand in that reality at the end? Do you really see? Because I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But he got the AD before he gave her away, isn't it?
No, he got the AD because he gave her away. Because the AD stands for Anna DeWitt, and it's like I don't remember which character explains it, but they explain that it's
Elizabeth
like
does. She says you lived here as a penance for your guilt.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, no, I don't think it was Elizabeth. I think it was in a recording. No, it was Rosalind Lattès. She said that he'd marked himself with branded himself. That was it. He branded himself with this AD as a penance for what he'd done by giving up his daughter. And the AD comes from like the same reality where he lost Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Like it's all pretty screwy, to be honest. Like something that some people like. I know I've spoken to a few people who this had gone over their head, but some people might be like playing the game and wondering, or watching this and wondering why Elizabeth has her powers. It's because the Elizabeth that you play with in the game exists in two realities at the same time because of the thimble on her finger. Because the thimble's on her finger because she's missing part of her little finger, and she's missing part of her little finger because when she's pulled through a tear to Columbia by Robert Lattès and Comstock, as the tear closes, the finger's trapped in the reality where she was stolen, and the rest of her is in the reality that has Columbia. So I don't think the multiple Elizabeths at the end of the game have the powers. I think it's just that one Elizabeth who's existing in multiple realities does. I'm not sure about that. Perhaps
it's
not.
just I don't know about. It's just that it sounds like a viable theory that it's because she's split between two, but it's a fucking it's her little tiny bit of her finger that's in the world, and it's dead. So I don't see.
Well, just like it's still a part of her being that is existing in two planes of existence at the same time.
Also...
Like, it's explained in a voxophone recording, literally at the beginning of the game. When you first get to Elizabeth's tower, there's a voxophone recording from Rosalind Lattès who says, perhaps the universe doesn't like its peas mixed with its porridge, which is a reference to the fact that her little finger's existing in one reality and the rest of her is existing in this.
Well, it also kind of
like
that kind of ruins the that kind of messes with the theory that because like I said before, there's when she takes you through the tears at the end of the game and shows you the lighthouses, you see loads of Columbia ones and loads of Rapture ones. So that basically solidifies the fact that Booker, when he doesn't become Comstock, is in the reality when Bioshock becomes when Rapture comes, and that and then Comstock, when he becomes Comstock, obviously Columbia comes. But the fact that she's in those two realities is because two parts of her are in both, which doesn't deny the fact that there could be more. There could be more tears she could have gone through if she was split into more. And the Lattesses could figure out how to get into more realities. See, my head's already imploding.
Yeah, this is really the problem with this game's ending, because trying to talk about it, like this is a term that a friend of mine used when I was discussing it with her. She said, trying to talk about the ending of this game and theorize about it is trying to explain a dream to someone.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know if anyone watching this has ever tried to explain a dream to people, but it's just nuts trying to explain something when you've interpreted it in a different way to they have, and you've noticed different things than they have.
Yeah, because I actually didn't think about that before, because there could be, like, I hate to say it, but there could be infinite universes which could be there, but Elizabeth or Anna couldn't go through them because she's not part of them, and that also can be true, because all the similarities between Rapture and Columbia, there's so many. And that's just because she's part of both. If she was part of 3, she could have had the third, whatever that place was, be part of her reality.
I don't... Because if we're talking about like the Booker at the end of the game or the Booker at the beginning of the game is in the reality that has Rapture in it, that means Elizabeth never got taken to Columbia, or rather Anna never got taken to Columbia and thus doesn't have any powers. Like the Elizabeth who has the powers, you don't see it happen because that would be like kicking someone in the gut. But she does disappear at the end. I think they just don't want you to see it because it's like killing the character that you've been playing with this whole game.
I think the whole point is like the Inception style effect at the end, where they don't let you know what actually happened, and it leaves room for speculation.
The way I see it, like this is the way I speculate with the ending, is the reason they don't show you Elizabeth disappear is to spare you. Because they've already thrown so much shit at you, you don't really want to like see the character that you form this bond with throughout the whole game disappear in the middle of your eyes. Like, I don't know about you, but when I got to the part of the game where Elizabeth was being tortured by Comstock, my heart was breaking, and I was just trying to get to her as quickly as possible. And like when I finally made it back to the like after the old Elizabeth sent me back in time for a chance to save her a second time, I was literally desperate, like trying to kill that last motorized Patriot because I had barely any ammo, barely any souls, and I did it by the skin of my teeth. And I was just like, come on, save Elizabeth, save her, quickly, And I'm sort of glad that they spared me showing, like, deep down, I think that they do kill her off, and I think that bit at the end, after the credits, it's for closure to say it all ends happily, Booker gets to raise Anna, whatever have you.
Yeah.
Because like it's all like it's all like the games are symbolic of each other. Like I think there are multiple towers, like multiple lighthouses to represent multiple playthroughs. Because remember in Bioshock 1, it had two different endings and a sort of neutral ending. There's one ending where Jack takes over Rapture and uses it to launch an attack on the mainland, and there's another ending where, if you save all the little sisters, he leaves Rapture and raises a family.
It's hard to think about that though, because how would you take over Rapture? Like, how would you even colonize the splicers?
He sees the power that Atlas had, that Fontaine had, didn't he? Like, if you do the bad ending, and he's got all he's controlling the Atom now, so he can control the splicers. But that's not my point. Like, it's I think the games and the cities are symbolic of each other. So there's always a city, always a leader, always a rebel, always like this sort of figure that needs protecting, always this like protective figure, always a hero, and there are other ones as well, but those are the notable 6.
Obviously, you always have the smaller ones like the Vigors, the Plasmids, and the Vendors.
Yeah. But those are the notable 6. So there's Columbia and Rapture are the city, there's Andrew Ryan and Comstock are the symbolic leaders, the symbolic rebels are Fontaine and Fitzroy. Symbolic like protectors are Songbird and Big Daddies. Symbolic like beings in need of protection are Elizabeth and the Little Sisters, and the symbolic heroes are Booker and Jack. And because they are symbolic of each other, I don't think there's a reality where Superpower Elizabeth, we'll call her, exists both in Columbia and Rapture. So basically what I'm saying is Elizabeth, who we'll say is the one that has powers, she only exists in Columbia. So Anna might exist in the same reality that has Rapture in it, but she doesn't have powers.
So what you're saying is that in the reality where Booker lives, his child becomes Anna, but in the reality,
or rather stays as
where
Alice.
Comstock is, she becomes Elizabeth. Like just how.
The reality, any reality that has Comstock has Elizabeth, and any reality that has Anna. So every reality that has Comstock and Columbia has Elizabeth and all the powers that go along with her, and any reality where there's no Columbia and there's Rapture just has Anna and no powers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That this ending as well is also
That's
another.
how I'm interpreting it anyway.
Well, the ending as well. It gives you like it makes you wonder like how I wonder what types of, because they say they're bringing some kind of single player DLC to the game. Whether that be story, which they said there will be at least one campaign DLC.
Yeah.
What kind of DLC could they bring? Do you reckon that they will show you Booker's life as Booker, or how Comstock becomes Comstock?
I think perhaps it will be, well, it could be how Comstock came to become Comstock, but I have an inkling that perhaps it might be either going through a tear at some point. Because, like, remember those red tears that had music playing through them?
Yeah.
You might get perhaps employed by, because Fink's brother, Albert Fink, I think his name is, he, like, this musical maestro throughout Columbia. And you see early on in the game with God Only Knows What I'd Be Without You, and it says on the poster, Albert Fink presents the B Quartet, or whatever they're called, the gayest quartet in Columbia. And like it just seems like too much of a coincidence that those tears are red. So I think the story DLC will be you get employed by Albert Fink to plagiarize these songs from other other times in history.
Yeah.
So that's what I think it might be. Either that, or perhaps following like the Letesses and how they became these scattered.
I don't know. I don't think they're gonna. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna expand on the whole, like anything to do with the ending. I don't think they're gonna expand on that because they love the fact that people can talk about it. Because the more they expand on it, obviously, the less people can theorize. So I reckon the probability of something happening in story is probably going to be something of like either showing off both sides of the Battle of Wounded Knee, or maybe even the birth and, well, the rebirth of Booker as Comstock. Because that way they can add to the lore without messing with their ending.
That, to me, because like part of what makes the story so charming is the mystery behind it. Like, I think whatever the story DLC will be, it will be something that happens through a tear. Because like there are points in the game where you like, if you go through this tear, you can't go back. Like the bit with bringing Ling back to life, and the bit where the reality where Booker joins the Vox Populi.
Yeah, and
both of those are parts where you go through the tear to a different unit.
Every single tear is another version of Columbia.
Yeah. I think the tear that, like, I think with the story DLC, rather than going back in time to see these, like, Wounded Knee, going back in time to see that happen for Elizabeth, like, it wouldn't add to the story in any way that needs adding. Like, Booker and Elizabeth don't need to go to Wounded Knee, and if they went to see how Comstock would be born, then it like became into being. That would completely disregard the whole ending of the game, because the ending of the game is finding out how Comstock came to be. So that would, like, if it was seeing it like how Comstock came to be, you wouldn't be playing as Booker and Elizabeth, which sort of defeats the whole point of the game, because the game is about Booker and Elizabeth and their relationship and going through and finding out all this mess. So I think anything the story DLC will be, it'll be a neat little add-on, like you say, but it won't be to do with the main story. It'll just be something that can be added extra.
It'll be something that you can play, but yet still not.
It
be
doesn't
spoiled.
matter. Yeah, like that's why I think it might be to do with the music. Like Albert Fink, like, for some reason you need something from Albert Fink, and he tells you to go through these tears in time to steal songs, something like that. Because those red tears were the only tears in the game that were red.
Yeah.
All the others were just sort of like grey and white. So
well, it's definitely exciting to see what happens with the DLC. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I have the season pass and everything. So I'm
probably gonna wait until
until they announce what it is for you. But like I'm gonna be reviewing all the stuff to do with that. So yeah. So I think this is all we're gonna do for the spoiler cast because I think we're coming up to about
there's
half an
loads
hour.
we could talk about, but it's just too.
So yeah, it's too
Too
complicated to talk
much.
about. Really, we could talk about this for days and still not get anywhere. But yeah. So that's basically our opinion. What's your opinion on the ending? What theories do you have? Be sure to write in the comments down below because we'd definitely love to talk to you about it because you know it's one of our favorite games.
If you watch this without playing the game, then
you're a stupid person and you're
crazy
screwed.
fools. It's like a masterpiece. It's definitely the best game I've played this year, if not ever.
Yeah, same here. So yeah, and also obviously I reviewed the game about a week or two back, so just check that out. That's up on the site. I'll probably leave an annotation somewhere or something like
we'll
that.
be checking the comments regularly because, like, I think the beauty of doing something like this for our for this TGN Weekly is the fact that we can continue to theorize in the YouTube comments and in the website comments.
Yeah, and we can have a place where we can talk about it.
Spoilercast doesn't have to end.
Yeah, we can have a place to talk about it safely. So that was it for TGN Weekly. Look forward to next week's one. I think that's a special one. I'm not going to say what it is. Yeah. So I hope you liked the video. Please leave a comment on all your theories, like I said before, and I'll speak to you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Beyond